This is Matthew Cratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to talk about how to steal like a government, and I keep coming back to this great phrase by Friedrich Nietzsche: everything the state says is a lie, and everything it has stolen, which I think is true. How does the government steal from us? Number one, it steals directly from people's paychecks in terms of payroll taxes like Social Security, Medicare, federal unemployment taxes, state unemployment taxes. And then, of course, you have the parallel system of the federal income tax and state income taxes as well for many U.S. states. And then what you do is you pretend that some of these are enforced savings for retirement, like Social Security, and that they'll eventually be returned to the victim, while ensuring that you debase the future purchasing power of these retirement savings. Now that leads us to the next method of confiscation, which is, of course, money printing. Taxation is theft, but money printing is also theft. It's also stealth taxation and theft. The Federal Reserve prints up new U.S. dollars, uses it to buy U.S. government debt, thus helping to fund the very beast they keep stealing from you and me. Printing up new U.S. dollars dilutes the holdings of everyone who holds U.S. dollars, and this is a stealth way of stealing even more of your economic energy. We can see here, if we look at the Fed's balance sheet, which they've been using to buy and hold government debt, this balance sheet of freshly printed new U.S. dollars has gone from approximately $1 trillion back in 2007, 2008, now 6 times that or 7 times that at $6 or $7 trillion. So that's a lot of money printing. How can you protect yourself from central bank money printing and currency devaluation? Number one, you can get rid of as much melting ice cube cash as possible, because if you hold cash, it's constantly losing its purchasing power, and you can hold assets like stocks or real estate instead. Now, as cash loses value over time, the value of these assets goes up that you're holding, helping to protect your future purchasing power. At least this is the plan. There is a catch, though. If you hold real estate, you're going to need to pay the beast an ongoing extortion payment called annual property taxes, as well as any capital gains taxes when you sell. If you hold stocks, you're going to need to pay taxes on any dividends received, which is money that was already taxed once by the government at the corporate level, and that is now being taxed again when you receive it. And when you sell your stocks at a profit, you will owe capital gains taxes. If you're finding this video interesting so far, I just pause really briefly here to ask you to help to support this channel's educational mission. Hit the subscribe button. That does really help. Leave a like, leave a comment, question, suggestion for a future video, and share this video with a friend or family member. Now, why did your stocks and real estate appreciate? Remember, you bought these assets to help to preserve your purchasing power and fight against Fed money printing and central bank money printing. Why did your stocks and real estate appreciate? Well, most of it was not real economic or financial appreciation. Rather, it was simply that the U.S. dollar weakened and lost value, so the denominator in that fraction lost value. So it appears that your house is going up in value, whereas you're not actually any richer. It's not like that house became worth more in a real sense. It's literally, in many cases, it's literally the same house that someone else, maybe your father, paid $70,000 for it, and it now trades for $2 million, even though it's the exact same house. The only thing that's been updated are the paint and carpets. This leads us to the heart of this dark government recipe. Governments collude with central bankers to rob you blind using the following formula: print, pump, tax, and repeat. The print part, central bankers print money and use it to help fund government deficit spending by buying U.S. government bonds. Then there's the pump part. Money printing pumps asset prices. There's the tax part. Federal and state capital gains taxes ensure that 20 to 40% of that appreciation flows back into government coffers, and it may be even higher in places like the EU, for example. And then you repeat. If you're a government, you repeat this. You print, you pump, you tax, and you use the proceeds to grow the size of the government even more so that it becomes more powerful and can steal from even more people in new and interesting ways. Those new and interesting ways include sales taxes, value-added taxes, VAT taxes, carbon taxes, fuel taxes, alcohol taxes, tobacco taxes, luxury taxes, corporate taxes, tariffs, of course, transfer taxes, wealth taxes, road taxes, tourism taxes, education taxes, and then, of course, you have fees and tolls and licenses, which, of course, are just a way to take away someone's right to do something. For example, someone's right to cut someone else's hair, and then you sell it back to them as a license. That's just another form of a government tax. There are even death taxes. You can't even die in many places without being taxed. Inheritance taxes, estate taxes. And then, of course, there are places and people who want to impose unrealized capital gains taxes where you can tax people before they even sell their house or stocks or other appreciated assets. Are people fleeing your country due to all these high taxes? no problem. What you do then is you just add an exit tax where they need to pay unrealized capital gains taxes on all those assets or risk being hunted down internationally and brought back to the US in a cage. This is the current state of the US and the tax system. And the thing is, you cannot vote your way out of this mess. This last election was a stark reminder of that for me, which I seem to have forgotten. The beast will never choose to voluntarily starve itself. The swamp will never choose to drain itself. And people who promise to drain the swamp always seem to turn out to be complete liars. So what's the solution? The solution is you educate other people about this mess, as I'm doing now with this video. You build communities that are prepared to resist. You build alternate systems using Bitcoin, Nostr, and other freedom tech. In other words, you build a new system, and then you let the old system burn to the ground. At least that's what's on my menu for the next decade. And I hope that you'll join me, because we're definitely going to need all the help that we can get. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.